guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Johanna, and for those of you who are new here, welcome. And for those of you who are returning, welcome back. Here on my channel, I do planner and planner related videos, DIY tutorials, budget videos, and the occasional new release video of items that I've listed to my Etsy shop. And if that is of interest to you, please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you hit that little notification bell, you'll always be notified of when I do load a new video. Commenting on this video, liking and sharing it to your favorite platform does help my channel grow and is truly appreciated. So we are on lesson 9, I believe, of this lettering series that I'm doing, lettering from a beginner for beginners. As I've mentioned in many of these videos, if you have any sort of lettering experience, then this probably is not going to be the series for you. This is really geared towards true beginners who have either have an interest in doing lettering or have never began or have just done a little bit and really are looking for some very low level lessons, and that's really what this is. So for today, we're going to be working on the ovals and specifically lettering involving ovals. Now, when I made this workbook, and this was a couple months now, I took it off the bookbound system, I put them on discs inside a big happy planner, and then I proceeded to practice some lettering, which I did right here. Now, and I'm always going to thank her, but thank you, Catherine, because in this video I said, you know, that's really hard to do. I mean, it gives you an idea of how to make the stroke, but, and this is with the caveat that I didn't read any of this. I just went straight to the practicing. And Catherine said, you know, it's actually easier if you learn how to do the strokes that make up the letters than starting straight from the alphabet. And so in this series, that's what we have been doing. We practiced the upstrokes, we practiced the downstrokes, and I think I started this with you guys, yes, right here, because of that quote. So the upstrokes, the downstrokes, we worked our way into overturns and underturns. We worked our way to compound and reverse compound strokes. And then we did the ascenders and the descenders. And then eventually we worked our way to the ovals and the reverse ovals, and that makes up the majority of the strokes that make up these letters. Now, in the last few videos, we did letters that included the overturns and the underturns because we've had the most practice with them and they are the easiest. And then we've done some letters that included the ascenders and the descenders. Now we're going to be focusing on the letters that include the ovals, because again, if you are starting lettering and you've encountered frustration, it's probably because the first 5 letters of the alphabet are hard because they involve ovals, and ovals of all the strokes are the hardest strokes not to do, but to feel comfortable doing, because in that very first video where I put this book together, it just felt super awkward. It's like, I'm going to break my pen, or am I even doing this right? So now that we have those fundamentals down, we've been practicing, this would be the 9th week that we've been doing some sort of lettering, we can go into those hard letters. So as I ask you to do for all of these videos, go ahead and put your big E at the top of the page, as well as the date that you are doing this particular lesson. I want you to do the alphabet at the top, and then do some practice drills with your upstrokes and your down, your overturn and your underturn, your compound and your reverse compound, your ascenders and your descenders, and then your ovals and your reverse ovals. And when you're done with that, go ahead and bring me back and we'll get started with the lesson. All right, so just for time, I did mine right before I started filming because I don't really actually get any lettering practice in unless I'm doing lettering on one of my platter spreads. So I just did this morning. Oh, that says 10, 12, 13 when it should say 10, 12, 19. Okay then, so the letters we're going to be focusing on today are A, B, C, D, E, G, K, O, P, Q. And that will be the majority of the letters that we've covered. Next week, we're going to be talking about the weird letters, which is R and S, V and W, X and Z, because they're kind of like outliers where they kind of are part of these strokes and they kind of aren't. So let's work on this. Now, because we've been practicing, we can, and I've got these three different colors and these three different pens. This is the Memento pen I had picked up, I think from a local craft store. If I can find it on Amazon, I'll link it below. But this is in Rich Cocoa. I've got this Kuretake Furubiora pen in, I don't think they're marked with colors. So this is sort of like a goldy orange kind of color. And then I've got this Pentel Touch. Again, there's no color on it, but this is purple, and that's what I used here. It's giving me some Halloween fall vibes, so that's why I chose these colors. But for the letter A, I think one of these is better to use just because it's easier for you to see on camera. It is comprised of an oval and an underturn. I still have to, I know what it's comprised of, I just have to think of the name. So when you're doing your letter A, you want to actually connect the full oval. Now you're going to get to a point eventually where you don't need to. So once you are super familiar with it, you've got the muscle memory, you might be able to stop right there and then connect down and go into your underturn. But for right now, just for practicing sake, I say do your full oval and then make your A with your underturn. Now what might make this a little bit easier, not only for your letters, but just practicing your ovals, is I have a tendency to try to make it very narrow. I don't know why. That's my default. But if you actually make it bigger, it somehow makes it easier to transition up, and it just, I don't know, it seems easier to work on getting the thicks and the thins. Now, that wasn't good examples, but you can still make your letters with a thicker oval than you can with a thinner one. And maybe that's why, because this is more of an oval than this one. But again, if you're having difficulties just even practicing these letters, you may want to try to make them a little bit wider this way than this one is right here. Now for the letter B, depending on how you're doing it, because again, if this starts a lowercase word, then you don't necessarily need anything transitioning in. But if you are coming out of another letter going into the letter A, then you may want to think about that. So let's say, for instance, we're doing the word bad. That comprises some of those first letters. We'd want to come into it, and again, I don't know why people do this, but they don't go all the way up. They kind of come down in the loop, and then this would be the reverse oval. Now, I suppose you would, how would you connect that to the letter A? I guess like that, because you wouldn't come down here. It's not not a really good example, or maybe it's an excellent example, because who knows how to do this? So come down, and then this goes into an oval, and we would finish that up, and then come down for the word bad. So I mean, I guess that transition doesn't look bad. So if we want to, yeah, no, there's no way you can do an oval, a true oval, and stop at the bottom. And if we don't close it up, then it's an H. Okay. And then the C is easy. It's half an oval, so it just goes like that. Now again, this one, if you're transitioning from another letter, you're going to want to put that little lead in. And then this one, if you're going to another letter, then you're just going to want to be mindful of how that extends. And then for the E, I'm not really sure how they do this. I guess you would start here and go up. So if we start, well, if we do that, because again, I'm assuming this word doesn't start with the letter E, and we come up and then go into our oval action and then extend out to connect to another letter. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Now, right here, I don't know if you can see it, but there is a little bit of a ghosting. You can see a layered effect with the pen. Now, that doesn't bother me, but maybe that's why they don't connect the strokes, because then you're able to see that. So I mean, that might be a reason that's happening. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to just practice A, B, C, D, and E, whether you do an entire row of it or whether you just do some combinations of it, that's up to you. But once you're done with that, go ahead and bring me back and we'll work on some of these other oval letters. All right, so these are, I just practiced some words because right now I'm really more interested about the connections than doing the letters for me personally, because some of it, it kind of boggles my mind how it's supposed to be done. So we've done the first 5 letters. So next we're going to be working on G, K, O, P, and Q. So let me write that down. G, K, O, P, and Q. And again, I'm going to go back to this one just because it has the biggest nib so you can see it. If I use this one, it does make it a little bit small, and the difference between the thin and the thicks isn't so noticeable on camera. That's at least what I've seen when I'm doing editing. So G is just an oval. And then it goes into a descender and comes up. Now K I consider part of this family, at least in my mind until I'm doing it, so let's figure this out on camera, is because you have your ascender, but then you're going to do this little blippy of an oval and then come down, right? I actually am not sure about that, so let's see how the book does it. So, yeah, they do that little blippy of an oval. Because, I mean, depending on how big you make that ascender, yep, little blippy of an oval. Okay. I'm glad that was there. The reason I don't rely on that, and I actually rely on videos instead, is because those 2 books clearly show that there is a difference of style. So really, we're just trying to learn the fundamentals together, and then you can add your own style. You can make them more slanty, you can make them more thin, you can make them more bouncy. I mean, that's up to the person doing it. But we're just trying to figure out, how do you even make these letters? Now, what I was talking about is, depending on how you did this part there, that could be a big letter, although no, you wouldn't put a tail there. You'd actually come into it like that. Yeah, maybe that's where that's why that's looking weird, because the C, that makes sense, but for the B, there's actually a bottom point I can connect to. So I'll need to remember that. So again, G and K. O is easy, that's just an oval. For P, we would come down with a descender. Whether you choose to do the little loop D or not, it's up to you. Again, that's part of your personal style. And then we go into the reverse oval. And again, we're gonna have to do some sort of loop D into the next letter, because unless this ends your word, you need to connect it somehow. I guess like that. Oh yeah, and that would loop up like that. And then the letter Q is an oval. And then a descender. All right, so go ahead and do some practicing. And you can use these letters, or definitely use these letters, but also incorporate other letters that we've learned, because this in and of itself won't spell anything. But go ahead and do a practice or 2 rows of that, and when you're done, bring me back, and we will actually try to make some words together. Okay, so practicing some combinations, added some of the letters we worked on before. Right now, I think my biggest stumbling block is not so much forming the letters, because if all we were trying to do is form letters, I think we could be experts and geniuses at this. It's when you start connecting different letters together, that's when there are questions. Because just like our strokes, if all we did was just practice strokes, eventually this would look like a masterpiece, but it still would just be gibberish. Working on just individual letters is great to practice on how to make it, but ultimately, if you're like me, you want to just make some nice lettering in your planners, or maybe you want to do some invitations, or you want to do Christmas cards, wedding cards, you know, whatever it is you are learning this skill for, eventually you want to make words, and connecting those words seems really awkward. But if you've been here for all of these 9 weeks, making these seemed awkward. So maybe we're just in the growing pains of this early stage of this. So we're going to work on some words together, and then we'll finish the lesson. Now, next week, like I said, we're going to work on those weird letters. And then the week after that, we're going to start working on figuring out how these connections work. Because depending on the letter that goes into it and you're coming out of, I think they said that wrong. The letter that you're coming out of and going into can change up, because with like the P and the O, you need the connector on the top. But with a P and an E, you'd need a connector on the bottom. So again, that all plays into this. So let's work on just a few letters or words with these letters. Now the Q I like doing just because there's not a lot of words with Q. So let me do it in the brown. This side. All right, so we're gonna go into our oval. Go ahead and close that up, come down into our descender, and because we know we're going to have to go up into another letter, we can do that little lead in. Then we're going to do our underturn to make our U, and come down and do another underturn. And let's make it super hard on ourselves by doing 2 double letters together, because I find that kind of difficult. So we'll do 2 E's, and that actually would come right up into an overturn, and then another one. Now, along with connecting, there's also spacing issues. Again, that's going to be a topic for another lesson. Really, we're trying to figure out, how do we make the letters? How do we connect them? with the limited knowledge that we know. Okay, so I'm feeling a little frustrated right now with myself, and then more so because I know you guys are following me on this, but I think that's good because I was frustrated when I first started doing this, and that just means I'm learning new things because I'm not frustrated on how to make the strokes. I'm more frustrated at this point on how to connect them. So there is growth. Growth is good. It's frustrating, but it's good. let's look at it that way. So let's do one more word together. So we'll do the word kick. And again, I need to remember okay, that's a fail. So I can come up like that. Right? And then I can come down. No, that's exactly what we just did. I guess there is no way if you're going into a downstroke that you can do. Gold star teacher, guys. All right, so we're going to do the little oval thing. And then we're going to come down heavy and go up because that's connecting into the eye. We'll come down with our underturn, go into our C, which is half of the oval, but we need to extend that. And then we come down here and then do a little oval at the top and then come down and extend out. I don't know about you, but that looks like Rick or Ricker to me because that looks like an R. That doesn't look like a K. Because if I do, if I cursive, there is no loop there. So maybe that's what's a little off for me. And I suppose there's no reason why you need to make the loop. So, nope, that would be thick because we're coming down. That's thick because we're coming down into our oval. Thick and thick. Yeah, that definitely looks more like kick to me than that does. All right, so let's go into the final part of our lesson, as we do with every one of these lessons, as we do as we end it, is we're going to work on the word hello. And now hello, even though it does include quite a few of those, I think I did that wrong. Let's just go with it. It involves quite a few of the ovals. We've been practicing that for 9 weeks now. So while we may not be fully satisfied with how it looks, we've had the most practice with this word. Now for the second word, what I'd like you to do is write your name. Now I would write Johanna because that's my name, but in last video, Christy from Christy's Plans here on YouTube says she doesn't like writing her name because she doesn't like doing those letters. So she's going to rename herself because those letters are easy. But I'm going to work on Christy. Now Christy, fingers crossed I don't mangle your name. But let's go for it. So luckily it starts with a C because that's the same in both small and big. And we're going to go into an H and come up. And then her name does involve one of those weird letters. So we're going to just kind of figure out how to do the R. So we come up and then we'd come down thick and come up and then come down. Oh, she's got a few weird letters. All right, Christy, I see you. So we've got C-H-R-I, come up thin, come down thick. We're going to need to connect to the T, and we don't want to do the little loopy thing because that looks weird. So we'll come down, and then we'll come up, and then we'll come down in an underturn, go up, and then come down in a descender, and loop that up, do a little thing like that, and we've got Christy. Now, doesn't really do justice to her name because you can't, oh, look at the ghosting. Wow, okay. So don't use these memento pens in your planner because it ghosts. All right, let's just do her name again for giggles. So we're gonna do C. And we'd come up light and come down, light and then come down, light and then come down, and we'd come down like that and into an underturn. I'm not even holding my pen correctly. And then down into a descender. We do our little eye and then a little loop right there. And that looks like a mistake, so let's just fix that. Now it looks decorative. All right, so go ahead and practice hello and your name, and then that's the end of this lesson. Now, if you feel comfortable, because some of you, when you comment, it's not your name, it's whatever you made your YouTube thing, your YouTube handle. God, I'm so old. Whatever your YouTube handle is, then that's all I know you by. But if in the next video, if you want me to practice your name on camera, go ahead and let me know what your name is down in the comment section below. But only if you feel comfortable with it. And then I'll just make a list and I'll make sure that we work on those letters, because I'm pretty sure, I mean, my name is Johanna, so I've got some descenders, I've got some ovals, I've got some overturns. So, I mean, depending on what your name is, you could have a variety of the different letters. And by next lesson, we basically will have learned all of the letters. So if that's something you're interested in, I certainly can do that. Whether I do any justice to the lettering of your name, that's not even something I'm going to try to guarantee. But I can at least show your name here on camera. All right, guys, that's it for me for now for this lesson. Lesson 9 weeks together. That's what, 2 months? Wow, 2 months we've been at this. I'm so glad that you guys are following me on this particular journey. There is some frustration in it, but we're learning stuff, because I can tell you, had I tried this 9 weeks ago, Christy's name would have looked like a hot mess. I mean, it kind of looks like a hot mess now, but that's more of the user skill than anything. All right, guys, thank you so much. And as always, aloha.